The best salesperson I ever came across barely spoke during calls. No aggressive pitch, no pressure tactics, no perfectly rehearsed lines, and he was closing more deals than anyone else on the team. What he understood that most reps never figure out is the foundation of this video. Most people assume B2B sales is about confidence, charisma, the perfect pitch, knowing exactly what to say at the right moment. But spend enough time in sales, and you discover something that changes everything. The top performers are rarely the loudest people in the room. They're not the most aggressive either. They are, however, exceptionally good at understanding people. When I first started in sales, I thought I needed to sound impressive. Talk fast, control the conversation, always have the perfect answer ready. I believed confidence meant never being lost for words. But the harder I tried to perform like a salesperson, the worse my results became. And the moment I stopped trying to impress people, things started to shift. Here's why. Nobody cares about your product. They care about their problems. Your prospect is thinking about targets, revenue, pressure from management, lack of time, internal politics, budget constraints, and competition. They are not sitting there thinking, I hope someone pitches me software today. Once you truly internalize that, sales becomes a fundamentally different job. Your role is no longer to convince people. Your role is to understand them. That's why the best salespeople lead with questions, not presentations. Most average reps talk too much, and the more desperate they sound, the more they talk. Top performers do the opposite. They stay calm. They listen carefully. They ask thoughtful questions, and they make the prospect feel genuinely understood. A strong sales call should feel more like a structured conversation than a pitch. You want the prospect doing most of the talking, because every problem they mention gives you critical information. You start understanding what they actually care about, what's causing them frustration, what pressure they're operating under, and what outcome they're trying to achieve. That's where real sales happens. Not during the pitch. During the understanding phase. People trust good listeners far more than smooth talkers. Anyone can memorize a script. Very few people can make someone feel genuinely heard. And that skill is becoming increasingly valuable in B2B sales because modern buyers are more informed than ever. Before a first meeting, many prospects have already researched competitors, compared pricing, read reviews, watched demos, and consulted their network. If you come in sounding pushy or rehearsed, they notice immediately. The old always be closing approach has lost most of its power. Today, trust matters more than pressure. The best salespeople operate more like consultants. They ask smart questions. They educate. They guide. And sometimes, counterintuitively, they tell a prospect not to buy. That move often creates more trust than anything else. Because people can feel the difference between someone who genuinely wants to help and someone who is only focused on the commission. Trust is the foundation of B2B sales. If someone trusts you, minor mistakes rarely cost you the deal. If they don't trust you, even a flawless presentation probably won't save it. There's another topic that doesn't get discussed enough: rejection. Everyone in sales gets ignored. Everyone gets ghosted. Everyone loses deals they thought were guaranteed. That's simply part of the job. The difference is in how people respond to it. Average reps take rejection personally. Top performers generally don't, because experience teaches you that most lost deals come down to timing, not performance. Budgets disappear. Leadership changes. Internal priorities shift. The prospect simply wasn't ready. Most of the time, that has very little to do with you. One of the most important mindset shifts in sales is recognizing that rejection is a natural part of the process, not evidence that you're failing. The best reps are usually just the people who stayed consistent long enough to improve. They kept learning, they kept adjusting, and they didn't walk away after a difficult stretch. Because sales is emotional. One day, you close a significant deal and feel unstoppable. The following week, nobody replies to your emails. That roller coaster destroys a lot of talented people, which is why discipline matters more than motivation. Top performers rely on systems, not energy levels. They track their pipeline, stay organized, and follow up consistently. Follow-up, in particular, is where most reps quietly lose deals they should have won. The majority of deals don't fall apart because the product is wrong. They fall apart because the rep disappears too early. Prospects are busy. People forget. Internal approvals take time. Priorities shift. If you follow up once or twice and move on, you're almost certainly leaving deals behind. But effective follow-up doesn't mean sending just checking in messages. Those add no value and signal a lack of ideas. Strong follow-up delivers something useful, a relevant insight, a short case study, an industry development, a useful observation, something that makes the prospect glad you reached out. The goal is to stay visible without becoming a nuisance. That distinction matters enormously. Ultimately, what separates elite salespeople from average ones comes down to emotional control. Desperation is detectable. The moment you sound overly attached to the outcome, prospects feel it, and it erodes trust fast. The best salespeople project calm confidence, not because they're free from pressure, but because they understand something important. Needing the deal too badly usually costs you the deal. When you approach a conversation, trying to understand whether there's a genuine fit, rather than forcing a close, people respond differently. They feel safer. The dynamic shifts. And paradoxically, when you stop chasing so aggressively, you often close more. Clear communication is the last piece, and it's underrated. Not just speaking, listening, writing, presenting, negotiating, and explaining ideas simply. The best salespeople don't overwhelm prospects with complexity. They simplify. Because confused buyers don't buy. Clarity creates confidence, and confidence makes decisions easier. Instead of describing features at length, top reps focus on outcomes. How does this save time? How does this reduce stress? How does this help the business grow? That's what buyers actually care about. The more experience you gain, the more you realize that B2B sales is fundamentally about psychology, understanding incentives, fear, trust, timing, risk, and recognizing that companies don't technically make buying decisions. People do, and people are emotional, even in corporate environments. Logic matters, but emotion drives most decisions. Logic is usually what people use to justify those decisions afterward. That's why relationship building has such long-term value. Someone you spoke to 6 months ago suddenly reaches back out. A prospect who went cold is now ready. A previous client refers you to someone new. Small, consistent actions, repeated over time, create results that tactics alone never will. People assume top performers are using techniques nobody else knows about. Most of the time, they aren't. The best salespeople communicate well, stay consistent, follow up thoughtfully, understand people, and keep improving over time. That's the whole thing. So if you want to get better at B2B sales, stop trying to sound like a salesperson. Focus on understanding people. Ask better questions. Listen more than you speak. Stay calm under pressure. Follow up with value. Build trust steadily over time. Because sales isn't about convincing people. It's about helping the right people make better decisions. The salespeople who truly understand that tend to do very well, not just this quarter, but over the course of a career. If this changed how you think about sales, subscribe. I cover this kind of thing every week.